everyone. Welcome back to the TMI FYI podcast. I'm Nat.
I'm Claude.
And we're back for another
Part 2.
Another day, another pod. Claude.
Yeah, Claude Potter, the Nat Chat. See, it could have gone either way. You know?
Claude Potter, the Nat Chat.
So when we do a solo, we'll just call it.
When we break off into our solo careers?
No. There's topics that are probably solo that we've decided you have more experience with them, and it should be just you and I'll just ride sidecar. And then same. Menopause you haven't gone through, that's something.
But I'm in perimenopause.
Right. So I could be like your mentor.
Thank you.
And then family traumas or personal things. You know, there's certain things that I think that are more serious topics that are probably a
one-man show,
so
a one-woman show.
Yeah. So we'll see. But that's cute, right?
I love
you
that.
See?
Have you been workshopping that?
Right. When we're trying to come up with something, I'm like, but that's so exclusive. It's not inclusive.
That's true, because the Claude Pod or the Nat Chat.
And Nat Chat.
I love that. Okay, well, Claude Pod, how are you doing? How are things? Tell me about your life.
So now let's chat.
Claude, let's pod.
So we decided that we did a twisted bun moño virado segment. Usually being, so let's do a happy one. Like what?
Well, we could do a little bit of both, right? We do give me one bun twist and one.
Well, I mean, we were talking about.
Well, this was, we don't know what episode, how many episodes ago that was.
Yeah, phones and the reliance on phones and whatever. I just think, to me, screen time and still that's always going to be. I think that's
you gotta come up with a new one.
No, man, that is still. It's so prevalent and relevant. It's everybody's doing it when you're driving, when you're whatever, but talking to people and then they just.
But this is like your third one about like people.
So do you think it's important to me? Or is it
so let us know, how much does this bother
So, get off your fucking phone when someone's talking to you.
Okay, can I tell you one? It's a little bit phone related, but it's adjacent.
So you can take this one because
it's adjacent. And it didn't happen to me today, but it's happened to me enough times that I'm like, what the fuck era are we living in? The QR code menus.
Oh.
I hate them.
So do I.
Can we just bring back the menu? Like, I get it. It saves you a cost. I got that whole thing, capitalism, business. I get it. But fuck,
But
man.
stop it. Just bring me
so
at least
annoying.
one for the table.
Especially if you have
we
a
can
restaurant.
share it. Pass it around.
I will share it. And especially if you are in a restaurant that doesn't have Wi-Fi, and then you got to sit there and you got to connect to the Wi-Fi and you got to do the whole thing, and then it doesn't load. And then I just find the whole experience to be less than optimal. And I just wish restaurants.
How about... Sorry, go ahead.
No. Just wish they would stop doing it.
Well, and along those lines, when they bring you the pay your thing and then they hand you the thing, you can pay everything. That's convenient also.
Oh, no, that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, you could just pay and get up and leave. You don't have to.
Yeah, I guess that is not a horrible convenience, but I don't know.
That one I don't mind. There's actually an app that my husband has, and I forget what it's called. But you can get. I think you have to pay for a membership for it, but he gets it because of our credit card or something like that. But basically, you prepay for your restaurant reservation. So you get reservations to restaurants that are typically hard to get reservations. And the catch is that you prepay. So you pay a certain amount of money and you have to basically eat that amount.
Yeah.
So
eat yourself sick.
Yeah, be hungry when you go. Don't come if you're halfway full. But the nice thing is you literally just show up to this restaurant and then you get up and leave. And there's no check. There's no you've prepaid.
And what if you don't eat the whole amount?
What they do bring you a check. So I think you we've never had that problem, because it's usually places that are a little bit pricier, and they don't charge hello dog.
So we're not alone.
So if you didn't know, we don't record at a professional studio.
And now my dog's howling. That's nice.
Well, I'm familiar with this life now since you convinced me to get a dog. So
well, you don't have 3 of them in unison
Just the one.
forming a course out in your, and when everybody gets home in a little while, it's going to happen again.
Well, you know, they're part of the pod family.
Yes,
so
they are.
You're just going to have to deal. Anyway, you can do this. It's a cool app. If I remember the name, I'll post it somewhere. But it's kind of nice. I don't mind that. I just don't like.
How about the one like at Starbucks or something when you drive up and then they look away and it's the tip screen. And so like now you have to tip when you're getting a fucking coffee. Like,
so when
really?
I was coming over here the other day and I was bringing coffees, he says to me in the drive-through, he goes, "It's going to ask you a question." And I'm like, "You little shit."
A question?
A question. I don't know what question it's going to be.
What could it be?
And I was like, this fucker. So I gave him $1. But my stance on that has lately been like, I'm not tipping for just anything.
Your job.
Yeah.
I mean, it's if you're a waitress bringing me things and working, that was my first job. And I think everybody should be a waiter or waitress, even if it's for 3 months of your life. Like you need to understand, because it's so easy to get pissed at them. They have nothing to do. Most of the time, unless they just don't come around your table, that is their fault. But if the food wasn't right, it's really not your waiter or waitress. So you need to take it up with somebody else and don't take it out on them, because that is not easy work and they're on their feet, and the work after you leave when they have to stay late and clean up and do all the things, it sucks. So just whatever, an extra $3 or $5 really isn't going to cost you that much. It makes a difference.
But I do feel like at Starbucks, where I'm already paying like $6 for a coffee, and then you want me to give you $1 for literally handing it to me. I'm sorry.
Like they should give me $1 because I got out of my car and walked in.
Yes.
So take $1 off my shit. How about that?
I agree. And listen, this is coming from a cheap lady, which I think is a great segment into our part 2 conversation. Back to finances. Here's a tip. Here's how you can save some money. Don't tip your barista. They do a great job. That's why they have a job. Exactly. So we, I guess how many episodes ago, because we don't know exactly how we're going to be posting these, but we're talking about finances. We're talking about money. It's so loaded. It can affect your friendships. It can affect your sense of self-worth.
Well, and I haven't researched recently, but statistics, anytime I watch and listen to whatever I'm listening to, it's the number one fight causing, divorce causing,
conflict generating.
I was thinking of harmonious, like what can disrupt any harmonious whatever.
It's a conflict generating topic for sure.
Yeah. And it's, people have habits, bad habits, good habits. If you're a spender, you have to learn to be a saver. If you're a saver, how to let go a little and like live a little and not, it's hard to find a balance. And then you have, if you have kids and families and responsibilities, and then you think, shit, man, want to have a little fun.
I know.
We've been very guilty at times of the fuck it attitude, where we're like, we'll deal with it later and we just want to enjoy. Because then you have the other side going, take the trip. You only live once. You'll figure it out. Now, in the universe's defense, it always has worked out. Have we fucking bitten the root sometimes and been like, okay, what are we going to do? Publix cashing checks. We did that back in the day. And that's what has led to now, like when you have a little bit more and you have a cushion, you're afraid to lose the cushion. So then I think sometimes, we've all experienced or witnessed or watched or whatever, when you see like people who are wealthy or whatever, and they, not misers, but they spend, like they're so frugal. And you think, well, that's how they stay wealthy. Well, come on now, not so much. But I think the more you have, the more afraid you are to lose it. So then you start holding on to it even more, because you've gotten comfortable with the lifestyle you have, or being able to do the things without question when you want to do them, that you don't want to lose even that ability, that status of comfort. And you think, fuck, I've worked my life. I've put in the hours. I've worked the overnight shifts. I've dealt with shit. Like I've raised my family, whatever. And now that I'm comfortable, I want to be able to enjoy, the things I like to enjoy.
I'm with you. I like to enjoy a nicer, finer part of life. But I think where we left off last time, we were talking about where we said like, oh, we need a part 2.
Yeah.
Because we started talking about something that I think is so layered, heated, just gives lots of hot topic. Hot pocket. If you haven't seen that Jim Gaffigan, if you know, you know.
Or whatever the initials are, hashtag.
Yeah,
if you know, I get all of that.
Anyway, so
if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Hot pocket. We started talking about money in relationships. And we talked a little bit about just ways that you can sort of structure your finances, right? So whether you put your money together, whether you keep it separate, and I think we landed on whatever you decide to do, and it's very personal, is just have transparency in your relationship. Because I think where problems tend to happen is when there's secrecy, and when someone gets blindsided by a financial crisis, or just spending that maybe that you're not cool with,
or they take a loan out for something, or they spend something and then they don't tell you. And it's like, and this is kind of my thought on whether it's finances, we'll stick to it with finances, but when you lie about it or you hide it, because some people say, well, I wasn't lying, I just didn't tell you. Well, that's
an omission is a lie. For the record.
So if it's not a problem, why didn't you just tell me?
Right.
Okay. So that's, it's so much worse after. You think you're saving yourself grief, headache, I don't want to hear it. You're going to hear it so much worse. And the damage you do, because if you're asking, the answer is going to be no. That's why you don't ask. And that your person is going to probably be opposed to what you're proposing, let's say. That should already be like a warning flag saying, maybe this isn't a good idea that I spend this or do this or loan this or whatever. But if you hide it, if you don't share it and it comes back later, it's going to come back tenfold. You're going to get grief. Now you've broken trust. Now you have a
whole different set of problems.
Now a whole nother thing. And now that person now has that in their corner, like, oh yeah, remember when you did this? And you're never going to live it. So just rip the Band-Aid off, suck it up, say it and say, hey, I did this. I know you're going to be upset. Just get it out there.
It's so much better.
It's going to be really bad for you when it does come, because then it's, well, what else have you hidden? What else? It opens up a really ugly tunnel of shit you do not want to go through.
It really does. I totally agree with you. So if nothing else you get out of this is be transparent with your partner. If you are sharing
the Amazon
finances.
boxes and shit like that, we all kind of.
Well, everyone's got that. But I mean, if you're
I'm
not
talking a boat. Or, loaning hundreds of thousands of dollars or thousands of dollars to somebody,
And let me tell you, people, as
mortgaging house.
I don't know if you heard the last episode or not. In my prior life, I was a divorce lawyer, and we would see this all the time. I mean, people who just had properties their spouses didn't know about, who had loans, to your point, debt they didn't know about, who had all kinds of, the amount of money that was spent in these divorce proceedings to find money is just,
it's gonna be found.
Well,
You're
will
gonna
be
look
found.
like a shit. And you know what? Then why commingle your life with somebody and then hide shit? For that, don't do it. Don't even commingle.
It's just not worth it. But let us be very clear. You must be transparent. But we were talking about where we landed, where we're like, no, we have to just do a whole, we got to get to the next episode because we'll be here forever. We were kind of talking about when there's a bit of a differential in the income income production, right? And where you have maybe one partner who's either making substantially more than the other partner, or maybe they're making all the money. Maybe you have a stay-at-home spouse, a stay-at-home parent, and the other one is out in the workforce. And the power dynamics that are at play as a result of that. So I know my husband and I have always been relatively equal in terms of our earning power and what we bring into our home. It's not 100% equal, but it's fairly. But you've been in situations where you're the stay-at-home parent and your husband's the primary earner.
And it's kind of.
And so what is that like? What are the challenges?
So from a very young age, even high school age, I was always working, summer jobs, after school jobs, whatever. I was very used to working, and no matter what, I was having my $50 from my, when I started dating my husband, he was an attorney already. And when we started dating, he had just broken away from a partnership that he had with other attorneys when he was out on his own. And I had been working with my mom a bit, but then we kind of started working together. I had become a paralegal at the time, and then he had started his office. So I said, do you need any help? That's kind of how it all
Hey, brother,
Hey,
can I help
he was
you
no
with
longer in
that
a relationship, and I
filing?
no longer was, and it was like, yeah. So,
Can I
whatever.
double check those sites for
Do
you?
you want me to do some research? So it kind of started off that way, and then while I was still working with my mom, whatever, I was making secretary salary. You know what I mean? Nothing, but he was still trying. You know, it had to be anything that walked in the door. It
Launching a
wasn't-
business, yeah.
So we both were kind of, even though he was the one, obviously with the potential. You know, I started working with him, and the longer we dated, then I just became like we were together at the office, always working. So it was usually always him. And then an attorney friend of ours needed a paralegal, whatever, and I went to work after I had my daughter. Well, it was right before we got married. And I was working as well, still not making the same as him, but he wasn't making a whole lot more. We were just kind of, we weren't worried about who was making more or not, but we always knew he was going to be the one, you know, he was the attorney. But our roles it was more on me. He never expected anything or said, hey, listen, you need to go do this. I think to him, his value was more, you know, I had a stepdaughter. He had a daughter already, so we had her off and on. So to him, especially once we had mine, I still worked with him until she was about 7 or 8. I ran the office. I would go pick up at school. Then I would go home. I would pick up everybody from school, go home, start dinner, like all that kind of stuff. I still did. And then, you know, he would get home whenever, but, you know, he stayed later. He got up first to go to court. And we just kind of balanced it. But then later on, it was kind of like, you know, it doesn't seem that my job ever stops. You know, it seems that even though you come home from work and you have had a long day, you know, I've kind of been there with you for 80% of that day. And then I left that part and then went and took up part 2 of my day, picking up kids, homework, baths, dinner, and then everybody sits and relaxes and then it's wash dishes, whatever. Okay, do laundry. And it's like having 2 jobs. And I go, okay, yeah. And I almost felt like, do I ask him to help? Does he? And I'm not going to say brag, but to give props where they're due. He has always been, when we had babies, he was a diaper changer. He played with the girls. I was like, I am not playing dolls. I was not the Barbie house. I'm
Me
like,
either.
you go, oh, he builds the tents.
I don't
and
have
he was,
girls, but I don't like playing.
I'm like, I got shit to do. You play. You like to relax, watch sports, whatever. She's all yours. I got to go do this.
Yeah.
And I did other things with her, but that part, yeah, and he was great about it. And if, you know, and he wanted on Sundays to watch sports, you stay.
But did you felt, it sounds like you felt a particular kind of way about asking him to also participate in like the domestic part of life.
And later on, and then when my daughter got older, I became more involved in the school. And it was, you know, drop off. Then I had a couple hours in the day and it was groceries, laundry. So you become, I hate the term housewife because that expression.
Domestic engineer.
The CEO of our, you know, of the Hernandez, whatever.
Residence.
Yes. The CEO, the domestic CEO. And again, through ups and downs in the finance and the income and stuff, you know, I made it happen. There were times where we were like, I would get the Sunday paper and I would find like Winn-Dixie and Publix and see what was on sale, what was BOGO. And I would go to one grocery store and get all the things that were buy one, get one. And then go to the other grocery store and get to just make our money stretch.
This is how I know you and my dad are related
Yeah.
because my dad, nothing makes him happier than a BOGO.
Oh, and I love a sale, and I love telling everybody, oh my
That
God, I love your shirt. I got it for $12 at Target. I love sharing that shit. And there's people like, I'm not going to tell, really? Because you're going to be the only one.
That's
Stop it.
an insecurity
That's
you have.
stupid.
Yeah.
Like, share. Why not?
Yeah.
Be a nice person.
Yeah.
So I would, and then
Sharing is caring.
And then I would get points at Winn-Dixie for Shell gas. So then I would go to gas at the Shell to get. I mean, you make it, you know. And I thought that was my job to make
that was a
stretch.
contribution for you in terms of like I'm saving my family money.
Right.
I'm like being resourceful, and that was for you a contribution to your family.
And then as things progressed, times, you know, more and more, then he just really became we started a separate business, and then I wasn't working at the office. So I just felt like I had to come up, you know, as my daughter got older and once she started driving and stuff, I didn't need to be available so much. And I started, you know, my sister-in-law once told me, you know, once they start kind of being independent, you're going to want to find something to fill your time, you know? And I'm like, I don't want to go back anywhere and work like full-time 9 to 5 and be a slave to ask for days off for vacation and sick days and things like that. Because we were already at a point, my daughter played travel volleyball, da da da. So that's how I came up with, I took classes and cake decorating, always wanted to do it. And it turned into a business, not intentional, but it did. And I started bringing in a little bit of, extra income.
But did you start doing that, I guess, like just thinking about someone who's listening who might be in that situation, like did you feel
I
a
felt
sense of like, did you feel it like, okay, so now I'm not needed so much day to day in this like thing. So now I need to do something else to contribute
because
so that I'm not like the freeloader in the marriage.
Yeah, which again, nothing would make him happy.
No, it doesn't matter.
But it's a and you worry about what other people. So what do? Oh, nothing. It's like the shame of we're comfortable, so I don't have to.
But do you know how much I hate that? I hate that for people because I've always worked. I've never not worked. However, in the short periods of time where I was on like parental leave, maternity leave, and I was with my kids, I was like, oh, fuck, like this job is hard, man. Because to your point, it never turns off. There's no.
I sent my daughter to daycare at 16 months. Yeah, I'm like, I can't be here all day with a baby all day long. I'm going to go fucking crazy.
Yeah, it never ends. And so I think there's something so messed up, frankly, about the way we don't value that contribution, right? Because the fact that you were spending your time not pursuing something you loved, something you were passionate about, something that lit you up inside. Instead, you were using that time to do pickup, do groceries, do this, do that, right? Like that gave your husband the ability and the freedom and the flexibility to pursue the thing that lit him up, right?
Yep.
And that is valuable.
Of course.
And I feel like it doesn't get the recognition that it merits.
No matter how we advance in thinking as a society, as a woke community, all the things. You know what I mean?
100%. And I always say,
still, and you have all these battles in the women's soccer team, and we deserve to be paid equal. And we have this constant battle back and forth because my husband, but they don't. Yes, and they don't generate it. And I'm like, but it's not. So you're not looking at it as a business thing, okay? No, I'm not. I'm just saying they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
and so it's hard to that whole thing of what does your wife do? Oh, she's a stay-at-home mom. Rarely do we stay at home doing anything. And if we are, we're not just staying. We're doing shit.
100%.
To this day. My daughter's 23. Still lives here. After college, she came back and she's working, whatever. But, they always say, Mom, sit down, relax. We're watching a movie. I'm like, there's shit to do. If I sit and relax now, I still got to get up later and do the dishes if someone didn't do them. I like things a certain when I go to bed. I like to leave the living room picked up, the kitchen picked up. And I'm like, we are all adults here. Why is it only on me? And part of me feels a little guilty saying, well, he worked all day. I shouldn't put it on him if I've been here. Yeah, but I haven't been here reading magazines. I'm doing my business and doing other things. Like, we're both doing stuff.
And I think that only someone who has never had to do that would ever think of it as like, oh, well, what are you doing all day? Like, I think anyone who's ever spent any amount of time just at home taking care of the home and the family.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting. It is emotionally draining. It's physically draining. There is so much that goes into it that does not get appreciated. And I've always maintained that, I some of my work has been in, this is probably going to turn some people off, but I worked in diversity.
We're being on it. This is conversation. This is our couch conversations, and it's not for everybody, and we don't represent everybody.
And you don't have to love me, and I don't care. I worked a lot in like diversity and inclusion type work, mostly in the legal space. But I've thought a lot about these issues about equity and whatnot. But I've always thought like, yeah, we talk about like equality for women, and I just don't think it's ever going to happen.
Nope.
And I've always said until we value the unpaid work inside the home in the same way we value the paid work outside of it. And if we never find that valuable, we're never going to achieve that equality that we're looking for, because even the women who work outside the home, even they are still doing most of the work at home.
Now, I don't think we need to say this, but this is obviously when there are children involved, because there are many relationships that don't have children.
Sure.
That's not our experience. We're talking about the ones, we're talking about that dynamic
and even then, I would be curious, because I'm trying to think back and I don't remember now, to be totally honest, but I'd be curious, even in those relationships where there are no kids, where obviously there's a lot more slack to pick up, but in those relationships where there are no kids, like, who is taking more of the domestic responsibility? Is it really being split equally? Probably not.
No, and I will tell you this, I think it's important, and I think it's a benefit to most men that they live alone, at least for a period of their life. Like if they go from living with their parents to then getting married or whatever, and there's always someone that might pick up, you know, that they're not forced to wash dishes, do their laundry, keep their thing picked up. Like you learn that if you don't do it, it's not getting done.
Except that then they partner up and someone does do it.
But that's why I'm saying if they have that span of time, whether it's 6 months, whatever, that they are in charge of doing that, that somehow that clicks a little something in them where they participate a little more. Then you have willing participants where if you tell them, hey, I need you to do this, and they do it, but sometimes the initiative or it doesn't really come from them. Like, oh, the laundry basket's full. Maybe I should sort some laundry and start. You know, they might say it and then it just kind of doesn't happen. You're like, okay, thanks for the thought, but like, could you do it? Like, help me out? You know, so.
All right, so we veered a little bit off of the financial, but I think this is all like in the realm.
Yeah, it's a lot of.
Here's another curious question, though, or not a curious question. Here's another question related. So because I think we've talked clearly about like the women who are maybe not contributing, but what happens in the power differential? What about the power differential when the woman is the primary owner, because primary breadwinner, or earner? Because there's actually, I forget what the statistic is, but it's actually remarkably high. The number of households, I want to say it's like something like 40-something% of households have women breadwinners. So it's not an insignificant number, right?
Yeah, that's definitely changed, which is great. I mean,
it is, but I think it's interesting because like how does that feel, right? Like for men,
I think like
what would that do?
And I would love if we get some interesting feedback or something to share, not like
speculation
or just dissing. I mean,
right. No.
We're really interested. I think as a man, I would think they feel emasculated. And I think
my husband tells me all the time, he's like, wait, you have the law degree. I thought I was marrying. I thought I was
going to get to fan my ass.
I thought I was going to get taken care of. And I'm like, no, baby, you married like the one who's like,
I'll be happy to go to work, but you better take care of all the other shit.
I'm like, nah, I happen to love just like the human race and not making any money. And like, and I've since transitioned into things that are a little more lucrative, but he's still like, this is not what I thought I was getting into.
Yeah, I was duped.
Yeah,
this was a sham.
He's like, so I don't think every man feels that way, but I think that's right, though. I think a lot of men do.
And obviously, I think society, not everybody has evolved to that yet. We still have older generations that are like, oh, he's not working. Like, but I think they also can appreciate what gets done in the home. And I not challenge, that's a strong word, but I would be interested to know, would they switch it? Would they rather be in the workforce and not be doing the home stuff? You know, how do they feel about being, if everything is taken care of and their wife is handling it, how do you feel when you're out there and they say, what do you do? Oh, I'm a stay-at-home dad, or I'm a house dad, or my wife is the one that works right now and I'm the one, you know, how does that feel? Because it feels kind of the same sometimes for women. Like we feel like we're somehow less than because we're not out there punching a time card or earning a physical, you know, a monetary something to put in the bank and show what our worth is or show what we can contribute.
For sure. I do think it would probably feel more pronounced for men because I don't think hearing that a woman doesn't work in like outside the house is like, oh, well, how original. I've never heard that before. Whereas if a man does it, I think it's like, oh, I think the expectations are very different. And so sometimes I think like, yes, women
do you think it's different today even though?
Yes. Because I think if you heard that, right, like if you met a couple and you, like, let's say you're at a dinner party and they say, oh, what do you guys do? And the wife is like, oh, I'm a, high-powered
CEO, whatever of something.
And the guy's like, oh, I take care of our daughter. You don't think you'd be like, Interesting. You'd be talking
How
about
does
it.
that work?
You'd be talking about it in the car later, right? Whereas if it was the other way around, you wouldn't even think twice. You'd just be like, "Oh yeah, sure, of course."
But then, isn't there always like just like this little backhanded kind of like, well, of course she stays at home. He works. He's the one that makes the
Yes.
money, and then anything she does, it's almost like at some point in our life, women are like, oh, I'd love to stay home and, live this life or I don't have to worry. But then if you get to that point, it's almost like shameful. You almost feel ashamed that, well, yeah, I don't have to, but I'm gonna, or I don't know. It's like this, you can't win.
You can't win.
You can't win.
And I
That's
just,
not fair.
It's really not. And I just want to say, like, to the men out there, like, in the event that you are in that situation where your wife or your partner is at home taking care of the house, like, I sometimes think, and you know what, whichever way it is, whether it's your husband or your wife or your partner, whoever it is, like, understand the value that brings to your family. You can't even put a price on it.
Nope.
You really can't put money.
Well, you can get a nanny, but it's not someone invested in your family, your
Well, it's
kids,
not the
whatever.
same.
It's an employee.
Yes,
no matter what.
And that's a whole other headache.
Yeah.
And so, and I've dealt with that headache, and we can have a whole episode on nanny culture.
Yeah,
And
no. I mean,
it's a whole thing. How would you feel? Here's a question, a gendered question.
oh.
How would you feel about a manny? Would you have hired a nanny for your daughter?
No, absolutely not.
No?
No, a man? No.
A
no.
man nanny?
I mean, it would have to be a
Like
specific.
like Freddie Prinze Jr. in that Friends episode?
You think I saw whatever you're talking about?
The Friends? You were obsessed with Friends.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking. I heard Freddie Prinze Jr. and I was thinking like he was on a show, something.
No, in Friends.
Oh yes,
when he's Emma's.
Yeah, if it's a baby, maybe. Once they're like talking to, I have a.
See, I think we're
I don't know.
All right. Well, I hear you. I
just
know where you're going.
There's lines that can be, you can be so trusting of family even.
That's true.
And
well,
there can be fine.
There's a reason that we're talking about it this way, and we'll get to it.
That'll be a Claude pod.
That's a Claude pod.
Yeah.
That's a Claude pod. That's a foreshadowing. All right.
Yeah.
So,
But
I think that.
I don't know about man. Yeah.
So okay. So moving on from that, because that was just a complete aside. I think in terms of that the power dynamic that happens in relationships, like I do think
How about
that
spending in those dynamics?
Oh.
Like if you're the one at home. Okay, so if you're both earning, let's say equally, do you feel like you have to consult with anything you want to spend? Like I know you guys had your separate accounts for your fund money or whatever, but
that didn't work for very long. I would say that's like a nice theory, but I would say
does he ever say, I'm sorry, but does he ever say like, oh, you're doing that again, or you spent this on your hair and whatever? Didn't you just do it last month? Like, do you guys check every single thing you're spending, or is it kind of like?
So okay. This is getting personal into my relationship.
I mean, you
this
can generalize
this is a
because
little TMI.
experience. Listen, I was
no.
Not to mention the relationship I was in before.
No.
I was still earning an hourly wage and whatever. And if that person, like, I needed gas money or something, it would give me gas money. And then when I got paid, he's like, do you have the $12, $15?
Ew.
Again, we were children. But I remember thinking, that's like not gentlemanly.
No, that is not. He is no gentleman.
That is not.
We've already determined he wasn't a good.
I know.
He wasn't a good.
I know. And they're home.
And they're home. The
How
dogs
could you tell?
are back.
My alarm.
Okay, so, and I was just kidding. I have no problem answering this question. So, as far as how that gets spent, I think a good rule of thumb is to just decide as a unit, if you're sharing your money with someone, what's the amount at which you require notification or you require consultation or you want to be in on the decision. And that amount is going to be different for everybody, but you guys should decide together, because I don't want to be micromanaged in my spending. Like I want to be able to freely just live my life and spend my money the way that I want to.
Because you work.
I work. I contribute. I don't want to be having to account for every penny of my money. Okay. So I think that the most important part is to decide as a unit what's the amount of money that you feel requires consultation or like the input of the other partner before you make the purchase. Because I so I'm a highly independent person. If I had to account for every penny that I spent, I would be miserable.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not okay with me. And I don't want to hear it. And why'd you buy this? And what did you spend there? And I hate that.
Yeah, no,
that would not work for me at all. Now, if that's fine with you, that's your marriage. It's not my business. But it would not work for me. I think a better way to approach it is just like, what's it going to be? And the amount is different for everybody, right? Like for me, it might be like $400 is an outrageous purchase. Anything above $400, you need to tell me. For someone else, it might be $1,000, $10,000, like whatever
or $100, whatever
your situation is. But decide what that amount is, and then just like be able to freely like spend under that amount, and then consult on anything that's at that threshold. Yeah. That would be my recommendation. I think that's what's fair.
Yeah.
Because it's like respectful to the other person's sensitivities, but it also gives you space to like, if I want to go do my nails, I don't need to ask permission.
So how about
hypothetical.
Situationship. Yeah.
I love a hypo.
Let's say you're two young adults that move in together.
Okay.
And you each have your own thing, but however, now you have a rent to pay and you have fixed expenses. Let's say one of you is going to have less left over. Like, especially if they're not earning
one
the
is
same.
Making more money.
Of course. Let's just hypothetically. A he and a she. He makes, I don't know, 100. She makes 50.
Are we married or we're just dating?
We're moving towards that, but we're just
dating. Okay.
We're dating. We've been together a while. We know that we probably want a future, and we definitely want to live together. And we're both totally like, we're both going to contribute everything. But if one is earning less,
making 100,000, one's making 50.
So if the rent is 5,000, I think
it should be proportional.
Yeah.
So I think like you should adjust the amounts, prorate it, such that you're each paying a proportionate amount of your incomes that go toward the rent. And because it's not really fair to tell someone we have to pay the exact same amount.
Right. So you're going to be left with zero.
I get nothing at the end of the month, and you still have, $10,000 to play with.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair. So I would prorate it and say this is.
Or listen, I'll take care of the rent, the higher earner. I do the rent and you do utilities and groceries or something
along
like
those
that.
lines. Yeah. Because otherwise I don't think it's fair. I mean, I think if someone is trying to make you do that, that would be a big red flag for me.
Yeah, big red flag.
I would be very
you have
wary.
to find a good balance where you're both, comfortable with where you end up after you've paid your mutual.
And I would be very wary of someone who also, to the point before of like, someone who's counting your dollars and is like micromanaging how you spend your money. That to me is a sign of controlling behavior that is going to show up in other spaces.
Absolutely.
It doesn't end and begin there. So if someone is not giving you like the freedom to be you in your spending,
keep your shit in your own account and you pay your part, and you know what I mean?
Even then, that to me, that's not the solution, because I feel like that control issue is there.
Yeah. And it's going to come out somewhere else.
It's going to come out somewhere else. And I would caution anyone who's in that situation to like, just know this is an issue and you need to figure that out, because that's not a normal thing.
Yeah.
I feel like
as long as you're meeting your end of the expectation of the responsibility, the rest of it shouldn't be micromanaged or, put under a microscope to be analyzed as to, oh my God, you bought 3 coffees this week.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let me ask you this. And this is more, not so much of in a relationship, but more like with friends. So sometimes you go out with friends and there'll be a situation where it's like, oh, I'll get the bill. Right.
Right.
And then or sometimes you'll be like, we'll split the bill. Or,
right.
Everyone, or maybe you go out to dinner and everybody puts their card down, even though people didn't all eat the same or drink the same, or whatever. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what do you think's the etiquette around that?
I have lunch. I have one friend that we have a monthly lunch. We always wish we could have more, but it's always like, why do we wait just to one? And sometimes I'll pick it up because I want to. Sometimes she does it. Sometimes we both put our card.
So you're not keeping score?
No, at all. At all. Not there. I take issue with if you go out in a group, if you have a problem with what anybody's going to order, ask for a separate check and just get your own check. But don't be like reviewing the bill and I didn't have this and I didn't have that, so my portion is this. If there's 8 of us,
I hate that too.
The fucking bill is going to be split in 8.
Yes.
And you're going to pay for 2 people and you're going to pay for 2. I don't care if you had 1 potato skin or 17. We're all paying for it. If I had 3 drinks and you had 1 and she had 7, doesn't matter. We're here in a group. It's a group thing.
You're paying for the experience.
It's gonna be, and if you know you're with a group that likes to spend, get ready. Like, or don't go, or just say, you know what, we're gonna have our own check.
I agree with you.
But then don't be digging into the food with everybody else. Get your own fucking food.
Oh, damn.
Well, I mean, it's just so, it makes everything so awkward.
That's the thing. I think it ruins the vibe when someone starts like nitpicking the bill.
Oh, there's an extra 7-Up. Really? Oh.
I didn't drink.
Wow.
Okay.
Then why are you here?
Well, you could be
Why
here.
did you come?
You could be here, but like, don't complain that you had to pay for everybody else's drink. I find that super annoying as well. I agree. And I think it's totally fair if you say, I don't want to pay for, I don't drink and I don't eat meat and I don't want to pay for that. I think that's fair, but then you do have to be like, I'm just going to get my separate thing.
Yeah.
Don't be putting that into the group. That just ruins the vibe.
Or getting the bill and say, well, I ate this, and picking out the 3 things. Just go home.
It's like,
you are canceled.
And you whip out a calculator. It's like, okay, so we owe $37.50. So you're gonna split.
We have stopped being friends. The friendship is over.
I can still be friends, but I'm
I'm not inviting you anymore. Ever, anywhere.
Just know I'm annoyed. Like, I don't want to deal with this.
That is such a buzzkill and stop it.
Especially if you had a nice time and then that's how you end it.
We're not like going to take advantage of it. We're going to dinner. We didn't book a vacation and you're like getting screwed on the cheap room. It's dinner and drinks. Brother, please. Like,
Sister, please.
Sister, please. I can't, like, there's a twisted bun thing, like, extremely frugal. I understand being conscious, being smart, being, saving and not overspending, whatever, but to be to that point where you're like counting on the receipt, I can't do it.
So just know when you go out with Claudia.
No, we could go to Burger King. I don't care. It's not even about where.
I agree. No, I'm on the same page.
The whole of, I did this. Well, then go eat alone. Off with your bad self. Go through the drive-thru and go fucking park at a spot and go eat by yourself. Because I don't need to deal with you looking through the receipt as if you were cheated. No. I just find it's almost offensive. Like, really, dude? Girl, whatever.
Person.
Just know, if it's going to be that big of a deal for you, get a separate check and that way.
Yeah, you
and
should
don't
plan
make
for
it a
it.
thing with everybody.
You should plan for it. Do you think, like, do you take people's finances into account? Let's say you're a group of, like when you decide, like, okay, maybe it's my birthday dinner, right? And let's say it's my birthday. I want to have like a really nice dinner. And maybe let's say I have
That's tough.
7 friends and 5 of them are totally fine to go out to this fancy restaurant. The other 2, I know they're going to struggle. What do you do?
That's hard. That's hard because if you want to include, but then you don't want to put them in a position where they're going to say yes, and then you know that it's going to be tough, and you go, oh my God, what if they're going, well, we have to go because now we're obligated because they invited us, and you're going to be putting them in a position, where they're going to order soup.
So what do you do? So you downgrade your birthday dinner, you want for your birthday?
Before. I've changed my plans to include, because to me it's more about having my friends there than the actual. I can go do that thing with my husband. I can go do it at another time if it's that special. For me, it's more important to have my friends there and change the plan. I mean, I've done that several times and on vacations and things like that because, and again, we've been at different positions in our life where we haven't been able to go to certain things because we couldn't afford, it was too bougie for, I'm like, we can't, and I don't want to be the miser on the trip going, we can't go do that. We can't, I'm either going to go and enjoy it like it's supposed to be enjoyed or I'm not going to go because...
I totally agree. And so I think it's like, when you're planning things, guys, like, and you think about who you're inviting, like, keep that in mind. Like, who's the crew, right?
And what's more important? What the occasion calls for? It is it about celebrating or enjoying something with your friends and the people you want there? Is that more important, or is it about the place and the experience or whatever? What?
Where I've seen this a lot, and I'm totally out of this phase of life already, thank God, but I still see it, and I remember kind of feeling it when people have like bachelorette parties, And now it used to be back in the day.
A party.
It was one night.
One night.
Where
Now
you
it's a
would,
weekend.
Where you would go out with your friends somewhere where you lived, and you would go out to
Oh,
like
yeah.
the club, and you'd go home, and that
lot
was
of-
that. And now it's like
An event. It's like a pre-wedding.
Yeah, they go away on trips.
Today I
and
did
you have
cookies
to
for a
spend-
girl that just went this weekend. It's a 4-day cruise for her bachelorette.
Yeah, no, they do this, and it's like, we rent a house and we get a boat and we do all this and that, and then everyone's expected to split the bill. And I've heard so many
Oh, yes.
people who will then get into like, especially when you're getting married, there's so much drama. We're going to do a whole other episode on getting married, but I mean, then it becomes like it brings a wedge in your friendship when there's a friend who's like, I love you and I want to celebrate you, but I cannot afford to be part of this. And the other person almost like gets offended. Like, you don't love me enough.
What do you mean? You can't figure it out?
This is my day. And whether it's your wedding or your birthday or your whatever, I just think I think people need to be a little considerate and just think about like money maybe for you is not an issue, but it can be for someone else. And maybe
I have
think about it.
A lot of the nephews on my husband's side of our family, our nephews, I've heard one of them specifically, they get to an age, in the mid to late 20s where a lot of them are getting engaged. This is when the weddings and the things are happening. Right. And they're like, dude, I've had so many, I can't, they a bachelor party in Argentina or in, wherever, New York, and they go away. Nashville's a big one now. They go for 4 days, and then, the best man has to put it together. And it's like, I can't do a 3-day function where I'm paying for all these in the hotel and the flights.
You can do it once. You can't do it 10 times, right? Like if you are lucky enough to have 10 friends.
And also like destination weddings, that becomes a thing. And then if you're in the wedding party, and then the dress and all the
makeup, the hair, like
it gets very expensive, and it's,
And I think it sucks that people get, here's what I never have understood is people who get offended at people who can't afford things.
Yeah.
It's like, look, I love you, but I can't afford to, like, I remember when I got married.
It's not in my budget.
Yeah. I remember when I got married, I told my bridesmaids, I was like, I hired these 2 people for hair and makeup. I don't give a shit if you use them or you don't. They're there for you if you need them. If you want to do it on your own because you can't afford it, I don't care. I don't need you to look like, okay, but I need you to do this specific makeup.
Yeah.
And like, I never understand people that do that. Like, if you do that, if you are one of these people, you're an asshole. Like, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, you suck. Because money is so stressful for people already that if you start shaming people for not being able to afford.
And putting them in a position where they're, maybe they're not paying for something just to be able to attend your wedding. Like, start thinking about what they're sacrificing or what they might be doing just to be able to afford the things that you're imposing for your occasion.
Yes.
So if you want them to do it, then you pay for it.
Yeah. Like if it means that much to you, then just be like, hey, I'll cover you. Which I think also can probably maybe be difficult because the other person is like, well, what am I, a charity case? Like,
well,
I can
if you're
see
telling
that
me you can't afford it, then I have no problem paying it for you. I don't want you to be, I'd rather have you at my wedding wearing the dress I want you to
or
wear.
at my birthday dinner.
Or whatever it is.
Whatever
right.
it is.
Like,
Yeah.
You have to be at least sensitive to the fact that,
I think, yeah.
Not everybody's going to be able to live up or be able to show up and do the things that you have on your expectation list or request list for your, I think I've seen some changes now, like for instance, the bridesmaid dresses, which were always like a one and done. There was like, what the hell? I paid $400 for this dress I'm never going to wear again. And then you alter it or whatever. Now they kind of say, just pick something in this color family.
Yeah.
And, they let the person pick something. And as long as it's kind of in the same, if you're going to make somebody spend $300 on a dress, have it be something that they can use again. I mean,
100%.
Very rare that I'm going to buy something for that and
I said I was going to do that and I didn't. And I'm sorry, ladies. I know that you never wore that dress again, and I apologize.
Oh, yeah. I don't
you
think mine
looked
did either.
beautiful, though.
Yeah. The pictures are great.
The pictures are wonderful, and I appreciate everything you did.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure for them now. And then, like, okay, if you're a couple, you're living together or you're dating and you're both invited to this thing and one of you or both of you are in the wedding party, like, do you help each other pay for the thing? Do you split, like, the hotel and,
I guess so.
I guess, right?
I guess if you're both
do you buy
staying
the
there
present together? I guess it's an individual thing of what you
Well,
if
it's an
comes from
interesting
us.
thing when you decide when do you mix your finances, right?
Yeah.
Because I think once you get married, I think it's interesting the people who like to keep their stuff so separate when they're married. And I'm like, listen, you get divorced and it's all going in the most of it's going in the pot, unless you're super thoughtful, intentional, and strategic about keeping things separate. For the most part, everything's going to go into the marital pot. And if this didn't work out, you're not saving yourself from anything, and you've just created a headache for yourself in your day-to-day life. But I think it's an interesting question. When do you mix your finances with somebody?
I know one couple. I think they've been together over 30 years, and they still have separate bank accounts.
Are they married?
Yeah, married. Kids are grown, off to college. I think some of them are married. But and they've made it, and I think they're both just financially have their own thing. And I'm sure I've never asked as far as okay, when you pay the mortgage, I'm sure that one person, they probably have, okay, here's my half of this, and they have a system, and apparently, and I remember my husband, I was like, how do they do it? And
it's nobody's
clearly
business.
been transparent, and they've worked out and said, I want to keep mine on my side, and I
don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think whatever system works for you is fine. But if you're not married, I think it's kind of curious. My husband and I kept everything nothing was joint until we got married. That was not the case for people I knew who were dating and they had joint accounts. And I was
that's not smart.
That's messy.
Yeah, that's messy.
Real messy.
That's not.
I would not want to do that because there's
now you've got Venmo and Zelle and everything else.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think you need it.
It still goes back sometimes to I know one of the topics we discussed, and was it red flags or hot topics? And another one we talked about if someone asks you out on a date, do you pay? Do you offer to pay half if they ask you out on the date? Do you pay? Do you not? It's so weird. Finances, money is just, I had someone say, if it was my daughter was asked on a date, I prefer they go separate. That way you can get up and leave if you want, and she's going to pay her part so that she's not feeling like she owes anything because this person bought her dinner. I go, they bought her dinner. What do they think she owes for that dinner?
You know what? Some people do think you owe them something.
You see, that's insane, because I could walk into that restaurant and buy the same freaking meal myself.
Yeah, but you didn't, and so they think
because you
owe
asked me
them.
not to. You asked me to come here.
You would be amazed at the freaks
I just
that are
don't
out there.
Yeah.
And on that note, we are at time, friends. There's probably more we could talk about with money. We're curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, if you have an interesting situation or a thought of something that works
question.
for you or doesn't work for you, or
a unique, a creative solution you've come up with.
Yeah, because I know with times are changing, new things come up. I'm old school. You're less old school. You're elementary school. I am graduate school. But I've been through it. I've been to the have-nots, to the haves, to the have less, to have more. I've kind of cycled around, and I'm grateful for the have-not moments, because it's really made me.
I think you need them.
Yeah, you need to really. It helps you weed out what's important, what's not, what you really need, what's stupid, And then when you have the ability to do it again, you kind of look at it and go, yeah, it's not worth it.
Well, and if I can just infuse a last bit of psychology.
Wisdom? Oh,
no,
yeah.
psychology
Yes,
into
because
this.
you are the certified.
I am not yet.
Positive psychologist.
Next month, I will be certified. But, when it comes to money, I think a lot of us place a lot of value on it. And there's the whole concept of money doesn't buy happiness, right? Or can money buy happiness, I think is the question. And it's actually not as straightforward an answer as you might think. So there's actually research on this. And when it comes to money, we try to accumulate as much of it. We try to protect as much of it. It becomes such a part of us, right? Because we think it's tied to our happiness in some way. And it is, but only to a certain point. So what the research has found is that once you have enough money to cover your basic necessities, right? Your home, your food, your basic security, that does buy happiness. If you can't do that,
well, it relieves stress.
Yes.
So that in turn, that makes you a happier person, because you don't have this pressure weighing on this worry.
Exactly. So to that point, it does buy happiness. once you're able to meet those needs, the amount of money that it takes to get even just a little bit happier is the proportions are all off. You would need a shit ton more money just to feel a little bit happier. And so I feel like people think that it's the money that's going to make them happy. It's not, but there are ways that you can make money make you feel happier. One of them is using your money for experiences rather than purchases.
Take the trip.
Take the trip,
memories,
go
man.
to the concert.
Yeah.
I have started for my husband. He's really hard to, it's not that he's hard to shop for, but like we've been together for so long that I'm like, I've already bought you every watch,
all the things.
cologne, wallet, sock. Like I've already gotten it all, right? So I've started getting him experiences. And one day I was like, do you like that I do that? Sometimes I feel like I'm like cheating by not getting, and he was like, I love that you do that, because research has shown that when you spend money on experiences, it brings far more happiness than when you spend them on products.
Absolutely.
And there's many reasons for it. I won't get into them all now because we're at time.
That's what we're like doing now is we need to start traveling, because we keep saying next year. I go, until when? Until we can't freaking walk anymore, and that's when we're gonna spend it. Now.
Using your money for experiences, using your money on for other people. So when you donate to causes you really care about, when you help someone afford something they couldn't before, that is something that also increases your happiness. So
I love that.
So there are ways, and there's more, but we'll talk about it another time. But the point is, I'll leave you with those two ideas as to, we give so much importance to money and we think it's like this big thing. It's not the end all be all, but if you want it to help make you happier, you can use it on your experiences and you can use it on other people. Yeah. And that is the name of that tune. We do have our cards, our last section of the day, where we pick a card where we just ask a random question.
Yeah, I was thinking of something.
And I'm going to let Claudia pick it today. Oh. I pick it and it's always a dumb question.
Well, mine probably aren't much better. Okay. What is the nicest thing someone has done for you?
Shoot.
And I have a backup if you don't want to do that one, because that's hard to kind of...
The nicest thing someone has ever done for me?
Yeah, I know. That's like you really have to sit and think about that one. It doesn't like come...
That doesn't come off the...
No, not right off the... There's a little gnat flying around here, us all afternoon.
Me?
No, and I'm ready to kill it. It's okay, how about this? What good habit have you been able to stick with?
Oh, okay.
That one's much easier.
I like this one. So a good habit that I've been able to stick with, I talked about it in a previous episode, my gratitude practice. So every day I write down at least 3 things.
And you wake up early now, right?
I wake up early in the morning.
That's a good habit.
But you know what? I don't do it always in the morning. So to be fair, I don't want to pretend that I'm perfect.
You've already created. Okay.
I do it. Sometimes I'll do it in the afternoon. Sometimes I'll do it late at night before I go to bed. But I try. And some days I don't do it at all. So I don't want to pretend I'm perfect. I'm not. But I do it more days than I don't. And I always write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. And what makes that practice even more helpful, I guess, or profound is not only writing what I'm grateful for, but why I'm grateful for it. So like today, one of the things I wrote was that my in-laws took my kids and they took them and they're keeping them through the weekend. And I've had them at home since they got out of school. And I've been also working and podcasting and doing all these things. And my kids have been home and the puppy, and I've been so overwhelmed. And my mother-in-law said, hey, can I pick them up for lunch? And I was like, yeah, you can. And she was like, well, if you want, I'll keep them through the weekend. And I was like, God bless your soul. So I packed their bags and there they are.
Oh, it's even better is that she offered. It's not like you even had to ask.
I didn't even ask her. She offered. And so I wrote like, I'm grateful for my in-laws who took my kids, and it gave me time to be able to like regroup, focus on my work. It's giving my kids an opportunity to build more memories with their grandparents. And I will say, if you start a gratitude practice, which I recommend everybody do, if you can also include just one sentence about why you're grateful for it, you're going to feel it even more profoundly, and you're just going to feel the impact of that throughout the entirety of your day. So that's a habit that I'm super glad that I've been able to really like strengthen.
That's awesome.
And I encourage everyone to do it. It's a literal game changer.
I keep saying that every time you talk about it. I'm like, I'm going to do it. I have journals everywhere.
You don't need a journal.
I have the plan.
Don't make it hard.
No,
That's
I know.
the thing.
No, I'm saying
it doesn't have to be a thing. Like literally.
I just really want to start doing some
Then
of
just
that
do
and
it.
taking the quiet time. And it's just, it's taking the first step. I do so many, like I've
And
done.
it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't need a journal. You can write it on a napkin.
Yeah.
You can write it on your whiteboard. You have a million calendars I've seen around this house. Like write it there. Don't make it hard on yourself. Just do it when you feel it. Just do it.
All right. Well, I'm going to try that.
What about you? What's
I was hoping you would do that because I'm not trying to think what good habit. My habits, like I've had certain habits I've had. I think being consistent with my exercise.
I was going to say that you're so good about your workouts. That's amazing.
I have been doing them. I mean, I've taken time off here and there, but I always go back to it. And it's just a part of I just don't feel right if I'm not doing something. Right now, it's been weight training for years. I had started walking regularly. Like 2 years ago, I was walking every morning for 45 minutes, 6 days a week. I kind of dropped off of that. I want to get back into that for heart health. And in menopause, you have to worry about cardiac stuff.
Stay tuned.
Yeah. But being good about, see that little thing? It's
I
flying.
see it.
Yeah.
Those of you not watching and just
there's a little
listening,
like fly, gnat,
we left the door
flying
open,
creature,
and we have some nature,
and it just doesn't go away. It's just on our heads, back and forth between you and me.
Well, I haven't washed my hair in a while, so
Oh well,
So
that's why it's been over there the whole time. I've been watching it. Circle your head. So yeah, exercising and kind of learning more about it, trying to encourage others. I try to encourage my sister, and understanding that it's not, you don't go into it kamikaze and like, I'm going to do all these things. You start, and I mentioned this in a previous cut, with one thing that you can stick to. Find the thing you like, because if you like it, you'll be less likely to quit. So you have to like it. It doesn't have to be torture. If you like to walk, walk. Move your body.
yeah.
Just move.
Just
It
move.
will lead to other things. And once you've got that down, you will feel better. But for me, the weight training, I just love feeling strong. I love anything athletic. I just, that I've been good with. That's
amazing and inspirational.
Oh, yeah.
And I would love it if you would send me a little motivational text, because I hate to move. So if you could just
girl,
send me
you got all these classes in the mornings. You got to have to go to Pilates at 7 in the morning.
It's not Pilates, it's yoga.
Okay, and I just not going to
It's
happen.
mostly a lot of breathing and stretching. If you could,
got out of bed and went somewhere, because I'm Today Show and I'm like, woohoo. Yeah,
woo.
no. I've been lately, I've loved lazing in the mornings. Like I know I got to get up,
slow
but
morning.
I'm not a big jump out of bed and get going.
I think that's how it should be.
I need like 15 minutes of and I've really started a habit of not looking at my phone for the first hour, and I love it.
That is one of the best habits you can
Yep.
get into. We will get into that another
Yeah,
time, guys.
it's
I have
amazing.
so much to share about that.
Amazing.
But that is
I love it.
one of the best
the
things
minute
you can
I have
do.
to go grab it, I'm like, ugh.
Yep.
Now it stresses me to have to go get it, because I'm
100%.
like, life is good until I look at that
Exactly.
thing and see what's on it.
Nothing good is in this thing.
Yeah.
All right, friends. Thank you so much for joining us for our part 2 episode on money. Like we said at some point, I think, if you have any stories,
Yeah, let us know.
suggestions, feedback, let us know. We're always happy to come back and revisit the topic. But in the meantime, make sure that you follow us on all of our platforms. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple. Leave us a review, 5 stars or don't bother.
Yeah, it's the only button that should work. Or
Yeah, I
only
mean,
rating.
anything else is rude. And
Subscribe if you want.
subscribe, follow, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week.
Take care. Cheers. I can
Cheers.